Hey everyone, welcome to the Smart Start workshop today. We are joined by Jeremy LaDuke. He is the owner of Epic 9 Marketing, and he is a marketing and small business specialist. And he is going to be walking through some meta ads for um, small business techniques and giving us the rundown of what we need to know, because we know as small businesses, we have small budgets, but we need big results. So Jeremy's going to be realistic with us on what we can expect, but the best practices. So I am going to turn things over to Jeremy, and I'm going to make sure that I gave him permission to share, because I'm not completely sure I did.
I was just trying to. I was going to ask you for
Oh
it.
gosh. Uh,
Well, it's great to be here with you all from half the country away, so that's exciting. Um, and hopefully, what you will get out of today will be useful for your business. I am curious though, if could everybody put in the chat or just turn on your mic and just kind of say what sort of business do you have? I love to interact and be specific with some things through these workshops. And so I'd love to hear what you do. All right, Kira, salon owner. All right. And as we go through this, if you have any questions at all, don't be afraid to put them in the chat or just chime in on the mic. That you have permission. It will not be rude. I really want this to be something that is valuable for you all. And so if you have a particular question that is just burning on your mind and you want to make sure you get answered, please chime in. Awesome. AI and automation for small business, mid-sized business. That is definitely an opportunity that's out there these days.
I
I'm
make
gonna,
products with DTF sublimation, 3D prints.
all right. Yeah. Like custom products, like people come to you to have things made.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah. A
Okay.
lot of I mainly work with a lot of small businesses, especially recently. I do a lot of their DTF prints, stickers, and cups, t-shirts, kind of pretty much everything that you can think of that you would need to market your business, I can make.
That's awesome. And can you guys see the screen here? The big orange slide.
Epic 9 Marketing
Yep.
Outfitters.
yes.
Perfect. All right. So just a little bit of background before we jump in. My name is Jeremy LaDuke. I founded Epic 9 Marketing going on 12 years now, about 12 years ago. And we do everything from branding and strategy to web design development, advertising, video production, all of those things. And at some point or another, I've worn all those hats. And if you're a small business owner, you know that at some point you are wearing all the hats. And so I've had the opportunity to work with Facebook ads since it was actually called Facebook ads, and I'm probably going to say Facebook ads a lot during this course when what I really mean is meta ads, and so that hasn't 100% switched over in my brain yet. So just forgive me whenever I say that, but just know that whenever I say Facebook ads, I'm meaning meta. All right. So yes, again, we've been around since 2014, and we really love to help ambitious brands grow. So we love to work with brands that are looking to expand and grow, whether it's, opening up multiple locations, just growing revenue, scaling, all of those things. And so today we're going to be talking about meta ads for the rest of us. So how do you as a small business, how do you effectively use your marketing dollars so that they are efficient and they get the job done. And you have some way of measuring it, right? Because I'm sure all of us at some point or another have put money behind, we've boosted a post or an event, or you went through the ads manager and you just wonder, did this do the thing it was supposed to do? And so we're going to talk about how to make that happen. But what we want to start with are the goals. We always want to start with measurable goals that you're judging the campaign that you're going to be setting up by. And so when you think about goals, we like to lean on SMART goals. So specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And that means you want to have a number for it, typically. So if you don't have a number for it, it's hard to measure it, right? So this could be anything from the number of people that you want to reach. It could be revenue. It could be foot traffic. But all of those things have a number to them that you can measure. And so you want to set a specific goal that's achievable. And you also want to give it a deadline, right? Most goals are achievable if they don't have a deadline. You can just keep on working on them until you're gone. So you want to make sure they have a deadline to help you meet them. So let's talk about some of the goals that you can achieve with meta ads. One of the biggest and the easiest is brand awareness. So when I say brand awareness, I'm talking about getting in front of people who may have never heard of you or who don't know what you offer or what your product is. And so it's just simply getting their eyeballs on your ad, on your video, on your post, and letting them know, hey, this is who I am, this is what we offer. And so you can measure that via your reach, your impressions, your page growth, and you can also measure it through Google Search Console. So I want to break down a couple of those. So your reach is there's a difference between reach and impressions. And both of those things are given in your Facebook ads analytics, which we'll get into down the road. Reach means the unique number of people that have been reached. And so you can show your ad to 10 people and they can each see it 5 times. Your reach will still be 10. Impressions, however, are how many total sets of eyeballs have seen your ad. So that same scenario, 10 people, they each saw it 5 times, your impressions would be 50. Now, impressions can be misleading a lot of the times. They don't have to necessarily see the full ad, right? It might just halfway pop up on their screen. It could be something that is just on the screen momentarily. So impressions are a good metric, but it's not necessarily 100% of the time going to be a full page. They were paying attention to it impression. Page growth, just tracking to see how much your page followers have grown. And then Google Search Console. This is one of the easiest ways to keep a measure on your brand awareness. And so what I'm going to do, we're going to talk about a few technical things, and I don't want to get into the weeds with the technical things on here, but I want to send some links to Marcy that she can send out to you all that will help you get some of the technical things set up. So Google Search Console is one of those things. If you don't use Google Analytics, highly recommend getting your Google Analytics set up. It's free. Google Search Console is kind of like the sister product to Google Analytics. And what it allows you to do, or one of the best things it allows you to do, is to see what actual words are people searching for to get to your page. And so you can go in and you can see, are people searching for me by name? And when you're doing brand awareness, what you want to have happen, and one way you can measure if it's working or not, is you can measure and say, all right, last quarter, how many people searched for me by name compared to this quarter? And so if your brand awareness is working, you want to see that going up. You want to see people getting interested in what you have to offer. And you want it by name. Now, you can also take into account misspellings and variations. But the idea is you want them to see this ad on Facebook. They might not click on it right then and there, right? They might not be ready to buy, but down the road, they may be interested. They may say, oh, hey, I saw that ad. There was a cool new hair salon in town. I saw an ad for it. Let me go Google it and see where it's at. They may misspell your name or they may get a few of the words wrong, but you can still track all those variations. So again, it's a little bit of a technical setup, but we'll send some instructions if you want to do that. It's really just a copy and paste code that you take from Google Search Console and put it into your website. Another potential goal is actually your page growth. So if you have a page with not too many followers, let's say you have under 1,000 followers, one goal that you might have is to grow that page to get over that 1,000 follower mark. That way it helps you use your organic posts a little bit better. If you only have 100 followers on Facebook or Instagram, then there's only so many chances that they get to see your organic growth. So if you grow your page and you grow your followers, then you can it pays off in the long run. So that is one potential way to, or one potential goal that you can reach for. You can also focus on reactivation. So reducing the gap between return visits. If you are in a business that has that customers can repeat, right? So if you are a hair salon's a great example. The promotional material is also a great example. If people can come back to you and buy your product or buy your service, in the future, you want to close that gap and have them returning more often. And so you can set up ways to advertise to just people who have been customers of yours in the past. And we're going to talk about that a little bit down the road. You can also set up foot traffic as a goal. This is similar to brand awareness. There's not a lot of great ways to measure that outside of just manually counting. Now, before you set this as a goal, what you want to do is get a baseline. So I would say on your average week, keep track how many people are coming through the door, and be very, very specific about it. The more details you can add in there, the better. I would keep a spreadsheet even of every day by the hour, how many people are coming through the door. Then you can measure that and say, all right, I want to see a 20% increase, and run your Facebook ad and see if it achieves that. Now, if it doesn't achieve that, then you go back and you say, how do I change this to get better results? You can also just track revenue, right? So your Facebook ads, whether you're online sales or offline sales, you can track revenue. If you're an e-commerce online store, it's a lot easier, right? All of the wires connect, and you can track that very easily. If you're a retail space, or if you're making offline purchases, then keeping track is a little harder. One way to do that is promotional codes. So have promotional codes that you only use on social media. And when people come in and they use that code, you know that they saw you, or even that their friend saw and passed it on, but that they somehow got word of that promotion from social media. And so don't advertise it in the store anywhere. Don't advertise it anywhere else, just on your ads. That will help you see if your ads are working. You can also track event attendance, and we're going to talk a little bit about events down the road. But if you are the type of business that could take advantage of events, then tracking your event attendance is an important metric. And then you can also track e-commerce. So if you are a retail shop, or you have some way of selling something online, and when I say sell something online, it could be a full e-commerce website, it could be event tickets, it could be an ebook, it could be a course on how to automate your email. So any type of e-commerce that is happening on your website, you can track that and make that a goal. Are there any questions on those? That is not a comprehensive list, but just kind of curious if there's any questions on setting goals for your campaigns. All right, I'm gonna go on.
Eric had or no,
Yeah.
Margie had a
Oh.
question about promotion codes.
Okay, yeah. Is that in the chat?
Yeah, she just said promotion codes.
Hello,
Okay, yeah.
I was trying to type it. Um, the promotion codes to gain traffic on or to determine if the traffic is coming on online. Do you have to do an offer with that, or is the code coded in um how do I want to say this? Do you have to put the code in the post or um however they're interacting, and then it is feeded into your um information, or do they have to put it in? Is that making sense?
Yeah, it's a great question. So if you are doing it offline, so if you have a retail shop and you want people coming through the door and buying something in your store,
Mhm.
then you're going to need to have that promo code somewhere in that ad, whether it's in the graphic, or the video, or in the post text.
Right.
You're going to want to have that. You're going to have that promo code in that ad somewhere, and then you're just going to have to keep track of it manually some way in your system, whether it's just jotting it down on paper, putting it in a
Mhm.
spreadsheet. Anybody that uses that code, you can attribute that sale back to the ad. If it's e-commerce though, you can do it either way. You can put it in the post and have people enter it in like a coupon code during
Mhm.
checkout, or you can also embed it into your the URL. Um, and depending on which system you use, which e-commerce system you use, some of them allow you just to kind of auto apply those discounts when someone clicks on a specific URL.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah, no, good question. All right. So one of the things to think about when you're thinking about your goals is to think, where does it fall in the sales funnel? And so you may be familiar with this sort of diagram. This essentially just highlights how people typically go from not knowing who you are to becoming a customer. And up at the top is this wide area of people who, and this is most of the population. It's most of the people in your community. They are not super aware of who you are or what your services are. That middle section is people who are interested, right? They've heard of you, they've got some sort of interest in what you're selling, but they're not really ready to make a decision yet. That lower part, and when we talk about lower funnel, that's what we're talking about. That lower part is people who are ready to buy. They know their need, they know the category of what they want, and they're ready just to find someone who can provide that. And so these are often going to be people who are, going on Google and searching for, HVAC company or hair salon near me. Those are people who are ready to buy in the near future. Now, your Facebook ads can apply to any or all of these levels of the funnel, but it's important to understand in terms of your expectations, which one yours is applying to. So if you're doing a brand awareness campaign that's up there at the top, it takes people a little while to get from the top down to the bottom. Brand awareness campaigns are long-term campaigns, most of the time. Um, Sometimes you can do a brand awareness campaign that just converts, especially if you have a very hot item or a service that people are that's really in demand. But a lot of the times, your brand awareness campaigns are just going to take, some weeks or months to produce a customer. So just keep that in mind. Your lower funnel campaigns can work a little faster, um, but with Facebook ads, you're still depending on the algorithm and Facebook to get you in front of those people who are ready to buy. So just a little illustration to um, put your expectations in perspective of who you're in front of. Almost forgot the middle funnel. The middle funnel is, you've probably had this happen to you when you've gone to a website, you've looked at a product, and then, for the next week or two, you see that product follow you around on Facebook saying, buy me now, buy me now. If you've gone to Home Depot or if you've gone to Walmart and you've looked at a particular product, you'll see that product kind of following you along around all your social media. And they do that by tagging you. And we're going to talk about how to do that in a little bit. But they tag people who've gone to particular pages and re-advertise to them. And so go into that page, go into your website is a signal to you that, hey, this person's interested in what I have to offer. And so you can tag them and follow them around for a little bit and hopefully nudge them farther down the funnel. Really quick before we jump too deep into everything from a high level, I just want to go over the anatomy of a meta ad. And I'm going to share with you my ads manager account and walk through how to set up an ad. But at the top level, you've got your campaign. It's where you set goals, and it's more the strategic side. It's figuring out what are you ultimately wanting to accomplish out of this. The ad set level is under the campaign. So you've got a campaign, you've got an ad set, and this is where you determine who you want to target, how much you want to spend, and when you want to do it. Then the creative side is the actual ad itself, and you get to figure out if you want to use an image, a video, a post. It's where you change all of the creative. And so it's good to just remember that that's the three layers of an ad. And once you get an ad going, once you publish an ad, you can't go back and change some of the settings on the campaign level. You can change some of the settings in your targeting, and you can change and add new ads, but your campaign is pretty set in stone once an ad is running. So we'll jump into that in just a second. All right, so what kind of ads work for local businesses? It's important to keep in mind that like we're in an attention economy, right? We're competing with billions upon billions of dollars of other people's ads, right? So the Coca-Colas that are out there, the Geico Geckos that are out there, all of the other advertisements that's out there, that's our competition. And so we got to figure out what's really going to catch people's attention, what's going to be interesting enough for them to either remember or act on. And so for local businesses, you can think of things like specials and promotions. So if you're having a sale or if you're doing a special promotion, those can play well. Those tend to catch people's attention. A new product or a new service, especially if it's a in-demand product or service. Events or classes, just like this one, those are a little easier to get responses from, and we'll talk about them just in a bit. And then also some ads that work are birthed out of your best performing organic posts. So one strategy you can take when you're thinking about how do I create an ad that really gets traction and gets people's attention, you can start with what posts have you made in the past that performed really well? What got the most engagement? You can take that ad or you can take that post specifically, or you can create other content that is similar to that and use that as an ad. Think about it this way. People who are on Facebook, they're scrolling through, right? You've got to have something that catches their attention and earns that little spot in their brain, right? The surface area of our brain is the most valuable real estate in the world right now. And so if your ad can do that, you can win that battle with all those other billions of dollars. And so it's a little scary to think, okay, can my ad perform as good as, Limu Emu or the latest Netflix series? Are they that interesting? And I want to say yes, they can be, especially for local businesses, especially compared to your competition. So you can be the memorable one. I want to show you a quick example of how to be distinct and how to stand out with your ads so that you can make your ads more effective. All right, I just want you to do me a favor and tell me which gas station is missing from this page. Anybody, chat? You can throw it in the chat or put it in the turn on your mic. Does anybody recognize which gas station is missing here? You don't have to think too hard about it. Just first guess.
Boy, I don't know. It looks pretty inclusive.
Okay, Eric got it.
Bucky's.
Oh, Bucky.
Bucky's.
Okay.
Yeah. So we I was asking Marcy before. I was like, do y'all have Bucky's up there? And she said, yes, people will drive to get to Bucky's. We've had a few pop up around us here in the recent past, and so it's very top of mind for a lot of folks down here. But Bucky's has done a really good job of being distinct and kind of making themselves stand out. You can see this, this wall of logos. None of them are really exciting. None of them really have a super distinct brand. But then you've got Bucky's. It's got this, funny looking beaver icon and mascot that has really helped it stand out and be distinct in the world of gas stations. People, or at least what I hear, people are not going to Bucky's necessarily for the gas. It's gasoline. We're going to get about the same gas just about everywhere we go. It's not necessarily for the price, but it's this brand and this experience that they've created around it. And so I use this as just a really quick example of don't be afraid to do something different than your competition in your ads, right? Don't look at what your competitors are doing and try to mimic them. Look at your competitors, look at what your competitors are doing and figure out how can you stand out from them. When there's a saying that says, whenever everyone is zigging, you need to zag, right? That's how you stand out. That's one of the most effective ways to make your marketing and your advertising more effective, is to make your brand either visually or how you message it, or some unique angle that you're taking on it on Facebook, make it stand out from your competitors. Another way to think of it is this: a good budget plus boring creative, you're going to have a bad time. A low budget and great creative, it could be hit or miss, right? It might take off, but it might be more about the creative than the budget. But if you have a great budget and you have great creative, then you are going to do well. You've probably heard the saying that says, you've got to see a commercial or you've got to hear a business name 10 times before you remember it. There's that number seems to be getting higher and higher as the years go on, probably because our attention spans are getting lower. But the kind of common conception that you have to hear things multiple times or see an ad multiple times before you remember it. And what I say to that is that's most of the time probably true because most ads just aren't great. But think about how many times you had to see your favorite Super Bowl commercial before you remembered it. Right? Most of the time it's just one, and you remember that commercial for years. I think if I were to say, Bud, why, you would probably all be able to chime in with Zer. Everybody, if you're of a certain age, you remember the frogs. Had nothing to do with beer. It was great creative that stood out and was very distinct. And so my encouragement to you is when you're thinking about creating Facebook ads, figure out a way, how do you make yourself distinct when you're doing it? Because it will make them more effective. It'll make them more interesting to your folks, whether it's the offer that you're offering, whether it's the video that you're making, all of those things. Being unique and distinctive helps. Another way to think of this funnel, is to look at it from the top down. And so your blue area is most of the population that's in your communities right now, right? These are people who are not interested in buying what you have to offer yet. And that's the category that most people are in. Most people are not interested in what we do on any given day. But you want to be in front of them and you want to be top of mind when they become interested. Most businesses that are out there are fighting over this little orange circle of people who are ready to buy. They're pouring a lot of money. Like if you have used Google search ads, you know that that the certain industries have a lot of competition. The HVAC industry, for instance, they will pay $10 to $20 per click for Google search ads, whereas other industries that are less competitive might pay $1 for a search ad. So most people are fighting over this little circle right here. But the reality is, if you can get their attention, and you can win them over when they're in the big blue area, then you've won the game, because by the time they get to that orange circle and they're ready to buy, they're not going to Google and searching for hair salon near me. They're going and searching for Kira's hair salon specifically, right? But your brand has to be distinctive, and it has to stand out to help them go and search for you by name by the time they get there. So not directly related to the technical side of meta ads, but it's important for advertising in general, is to make your ads memorable, make your marketing memorable. It makes it more efficient, and it makes your dollars go farther. All right. Before we jump into audiences and targeting, I'm going to switch over and share my screen with my ads manager. And while I'm doing that, do y'all have any questions at all up to this point?
No.
Can y'all see that? Did you see my whole screen switch over, or do you see the
Yes,
browser now?
I can see
Okay.
Zoom now.
Okay. All right.
The browser in Zoom.
All right. So just forewarning, this is my personal ads account. I didn't want to share with you any of our clients or anything like that. So there's not a whole lot of really exciting numbers to look at in here. It's pretty vanilla. But I wanted to walk you through and show you what the ads manager looks like and how you can use it. Now, to be able to use the ads manager, you first need to be set up on your Meta business profile. I'll send some instructions on how to do that. It's not super hard, but it's just a step-by-step process that is fairly intuitive. Once you have your business profile set up, then you can go in and create an ads manager account or an ads account and connect it to your page. And so again, a few steps in there that you have to go through. And one important step I wanted to show you, though, really quick, is when you create a ads account, you're going to be taken to this screen at some point where you get to add people to it and you get to assign access. This is not intuitive, but it's something you just need to be aware of that you have to do. You want to assign yourself as the administrator of it. That will help prevent you from getting stuck down the road. So once you get in there, just make sure you do this step. You wouldn't think you have to, but you do. All right. Now that you're in Ads Manager, you're going to see a screen that looks like this. You're gonna see your campaigns here, and you're gonna see these different tabs. So that breakdown that I showed you earlier, your campaigns, your ad sets, and your ads, you can look at all of them right here. Now, if you want to create a new campaign, just click Create, and it's going to walk you through this process. And so what I want to do is just kind of walk you through and show you how to do this and how to navigate it. There's a lot of options in here, and it can be confusing. And so I want to give you just kind of a general walkthrough. If you have questions, if you're, a week or two from now, or even a few months from now, if you get to a point and you say, you know what, I want to do XYZ, I'm not sure how to do it, or here are my options, which one should I choose? One of your best friends in this process is ChatGPT. You can take screenshots. You can describe to it what you're wanting to do. It will help walk you through the options and give you the best path forward. The documentation on meta ads is pretty extensive, and so it has a lot to draw from and give you pretty accurate information. Every once in a while, it might hallucinate something, but for the most part, it's better than trying to navigate it alone. So when you click on create a new campaign, you're going to be given the option to choose an objective. And so you've got to figure out, this kind of goes back to our goals that we talked about. But these are goals specifically that Facebook ads or meta ads give you. So awareness, this is pretty obvious. It's more of the brand awareness. You want to get your ad in front of people who you want to be customers. Traffic, it could be link clicks, it could be landing page views, it could be calls, it could be messenger messages. And so that's an option as a goal. And when you choose a goal, or when you choose an objective rather, Meta will try to optimize your campaign around that objective. Engagement is likes, comments, engagement with your posts or your page. Leads, if you want people filling out forms on your site or within Meta's platform, that's an option. App promotion, specifically for apps. I don't think there's any app developers in here, but if that's you, then it'd be app promotion. And then sales. If you have an e-commerce shop, or if you have some sort of thing where people can make a conversion on your website, this is for you. This can also use offline conversion data as well, and we'll talk about that. So what I want to do is I want to take us through awareness. What you choose here will limit some of your options on your ad sets and your ads. So some of your placement options, some of your call to action options, those are going to be affected by what you choose as your campaign. So for instance, if you wanted to run an awareness campaign, but then you wanted to make your call to action shop now, then I could be wrong on this, but that may not be a combination that you can do. I think it limits that. So if you're dead set on having a certain call to action, or if you're dead set on doing something that you're not allowed to do in your ad, go back and check how your campaign is set up. Again, once you set this and once you publish an ad, you can't go back and change it. But you can create a new campaign with a new objective if you wanted to. Any questions there?
Is there like a template somewhere that tells you like which campaign objective opens up which features?
That's a great. I'm sure there's like a flow chart type of thing out there that you can get. And also, again, I'm gonna kind of nudge you back to ChatGPT. You can go on there if you ever have a question, just ask and say, all right, this is what I want to do. Can I do this with an awareness campaign, or can I do this with a traffic campaign?
Gotcha. Thanks.
Yep. There is this option here of choosing your buying type. You're going to want to just leave it on auction. It's going to, for most scenarios, that's going to be the best choice. So let's do traffic, and we want to send people to our website. I would recommend if you have time to just do manual traffic do the manual settings whenever you have the option. Facebook is in the business of taking your advertising dollars. So I don't always trust them with things that they say, hey, we'll just do all this automatically for you. I don't necessarily know if it's going to be as effective and as efficient as you can do it on your own. So I'm going to walk you through the manual stuff, but there's no reason why you can't try doing the automatic way as well. So we're just going to call this new traffic campaign. This is where you give it a name, and it's good to make this intuitive and have some sort of naming protocol so that you can easily find which campaigns you're looking for easier. Your daily budget, well, set that at $5. There's nothing wrong with having a $5 daily budget. And then most of this other stuff is going to be you don't really have to touch. If you are a realtor or if you are a politician, you're going to have to check one of these boxes down here. But these only apply to certain industries, but you need to be aware of them. If you try to run an ad that says, let's say you try to run an ad for as a bank, or loans of any sort, and you don't have that checked, then you could get flagged and your campaign could get suspended. Same with politicians. They're very, very, very strict about this. We were even trying to help a local museum that has that deals with an issue that could be considered political, but at the end of they're just a museum, just kind of showcasing and highlighting all these different things. We ran into an issue where it was flagging that as a political campaign, and so they're very strict about this one for sure. But then also these as well. I think there is also some laws surrounding how you run these and what you can say, and Facebook or Meta will help enforce those in terms of suspending things that violate it. But you would also want to just be, for your own sake and for your own legality, you want to make sure you're abiding by those laws as well. But for the most part, I don't think anybody in here fits into any of these categories, so you're good. All right, then you just click next down here at the bottom. And again, most of these settings here you don't really have to deal with or change. If you want to do A/B testing down the road, that's something, but it's a little more advanced, and we won't get into those weeds today. So you just click next, and this is where you're going to be able to set up. Oops, I think I clicked next twice on accident. This is where you're going to set up your ad set. Again, give it a name that makes sense for you. And you're going to want to track how we're tracking the conversions. And so do we want to send website traffic? Do we have a particular app? Do we want people to message us on Messenger or Instagram or even WhatsApp? Or do we want to just send traffic to one of our profile pages? And then also calls. We can choose calls as an option. Now, once you select your conversion location, it's going to ask you for your performance goal. And so you're going to get a couple of options. You can maximize the number of landing page views or maximize the number of link clicks. So let's say you want to send traffic to your website. I recommend using maximize number of landing page views. The difference between these two things is that number of link clicks includes people who may have accidentally clicked your link, right? So those accidental thumb taps, they're driving on the road and the car bounces and they accidentally hit it, and then they go back before the website ever loads. Landing page views, however, takes all of those clicks and only optimizes you for people who are actually going to your page and waiting for the page to load. So it does not count that as a visit until the page actually loads. You can also use maximize daily unique reach or the number of conversations. So depending on what your goals are, one of these is going to fit better than the others. You're going to want to keep attribution model standard. Dynamic creative, I would recommend keeping this off. Meta, at least for now, Meta is trying to introduce a lot of like AI creative tools. Most of them that I've seen are garbage and aren't very helpful. So I would recommend keeping most of those things off. All right, so now here's your budget and your schedule. All right, you set a campaign budget. You can also, if you wanted to, we could go back and allow us to set a ad set budget instead, so that we can control the budget based on the ad set. If we want to set a spending limit, we can set it here, and then your start date, and if you want to have an end date, you would set that here. I would recommend, at least as you're starting out, having end dates for your campaigns, just so you don't accidentally leave them running in the background on accident. Are there any? We're about to go into the audience section, so I want to see if there's any other questions before we jump into our audience and targeting. All right. So your audience section, you can create audiences, and we'll talk about this in just a second. You can create audiences that you can reuse from campaign to campaign, or you can build them on the fly here. So as a local business, if you're wanting to get local traffic, you're going to want to adjust this one for sure. So this is where you can change your locations, and then you just type in. You can type in the city, the county, and give it a radius. So I'm over in Maryville, Tennessee, so I'm going to type in Maryville, Tennessee. And then I can adjust the radius down to 10 miles. So that's going to get everybody that's within, a few minutes drive of this. You can also drop a pin somewhere on this map. So if you wanted to zoom in specifically to your location, you can zoom in right to your business and drop a pin on it. You can do that as well. And so I think, let me delete that one because I think it just overlapped. It's not going to let me delete it. But when you drop a pin, you can actually get down to 1 mile radius. So most of the time, that's going to be a little too specific. Unless you're just in a larger city, you're not going to want to use such a tight radius most of the time. There's exceptions to every rule, though. All right. Then you can also change your minimum age. So depending on what sort of service you provide or products you have, you may want to adjust this. I would say unless you're just a broad consumer-based business where you can service anybody and everybody, you're probably going to want to do that, especially if you're B2B. You're going to probably want to target people who are more in those decision-making roles. And so, people who are, upper 20s to and up, that's be a smart idea. All right. I do want to talk about your custom audiences, and we're going to switch over to audiences. It's a whole other section in here. But if you wanted to use a custom audience, you can find them here. And we're going to go in just a second and look at that. Now, once you have your audience set up, you can click Save Audience and give it a name. and it's going to give you some of the details about your audience. You give it a name and hit save, and then that allows you to use it again in the future. The Advantage Plus audience is Facebook's way of really kind of broadening your audience and expanding you to be in front of more people that it thinks could be good customers for you. I'm not a huge fan of it, but I'm not going to say it's completely useless either. So I would just say if you use it, just experiment with it and see if it works or not for you.
Is there generally a higher cost for that?
It actually says that it's a lower cost. So and Facebook's going to it might be a lower cost, but I don't know if they're as valuable, right? So it might be getting you in front of more people or getting you more clicks. I don't trust that it's the value of those people or those clicks is what it would be if you just set it up manually.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah. Now, so what I did is I switched it over to manual audience, and it's telling me right here. It says you could get 9.7% lower cost results with Advantage Plus audience, and it's going to always prompt me to do that. And so when I clicked on so that's enabled by default, by the way. So if I want to switch to original audience options, I've got to do this and hit that, and I've already set this up, so it's already in there. It's going to give me a max age range as well, and then I can also get into I can change and target genders. It's also going to give me some behavioral demographics as well, so interests and behaviors. So if I am let's say I'm an HVAC person and I want to target people who maybe recently purchased a house. We can go to I believe it's a first-time home buyer. That's one option. So these are all audiences that Facebook and its partners they've determined that these are some categories that certain people fit. And so if you think that your target audience is going to be one of these, then you can find them in this list and use them. So Bill, for you, I think business owners would probably be a smart option. So you can click on business owner, own a business, small business owners. So there's several different options in there that are related to that. What I'll say though is most local businesses, I think the more targeted you get, the less effective they get. And so leaving it somewhat broad, but targeting your geography is probably more important. All right, then you can also choose where your ads are placed. And so again, it's going to do this Advantage Plus placements. By default, you can choose manual placements if you want to. And I'm kind of particular about this. I only like most of the time I only like ads to show up in Facebook, Instagram, and Threads, Audience Network. I leave that out. Messenger, I leave that out. Then you can go in and be pretty granular about where exactly your ads show up. So if we take out Messenger, then it's going to take all the Messenger options out. But let's see. Facebook feed is typically good. Profile feed, all of these are most of the time they're good. Marketplace, I typically uncheck that simply because not too many people are making local business decisions when they're looking in marketplace unless you have a product that they're looking for while they're in marketplace. And because the ads are small, it's I'm not a big fan of those. Also, the Facebook right column, I typically take that out because most of the time those just don't get paid attention to. So it counts as an impression, but they're not, people aren't really paying attention to them at all. Their focus is on the center of the page. So this lets you be a little more granular. Again, if you use the Advantage Plus options, Meta is going to just put you in front of as many people as it can in any way that it can so that it can charge you for it. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be more effective for you. Any questions there? Oh, I will say this over here on the right-hand side is your audience estimation. Since we set this at such a low parameter or diameter, it's going to be too narrow. So Meta's telling me like this is too low. You need to get a bigger audience option. And so if we move this up to 10 miles, that puts us right there in the middle. And that's a pretty good size. So just be aware of this section over here so that you can make sure you have a good enough audience, a big audience to be able to show your ad to.
And you can increase
All
the
right, so
audience
that is-
definition. Oh, sorry. The audience definition doesn't always have to be, you can increase that number by your targeting as well too, not just your,
Yes.
like the distance. Is that true?
Yes. Yeah. So all of these factors are either going to limit or expand your audience. So the radius is a big one because just geographically only so many people can fit in those different spots. So the bigger your radius is, the bigger your audience gets. But if let's say you expand it out to be more of a multi-county audience, you may want to go down here and say, all right, that's a little bit too big. I don't want to get in front of all of those people necessarily. So let me be a little more targeted and focused. And I only want to get in front of people who are, let's say you're selling something to parents. And so you want to get in front of people who are 26 to, of young kids. Hopefully I'm not offending anybody by ages there, but if you wanted to target parents of young children, you may focus on those younger ages there, and you can see that the audience just became. I had 10 miles and it was in the yellow. I changed the ages and it brought it back down to red, and so finding that sweet spot might take a little bit of just playing around with the variables in here. So I changed it back to 16 miles and it got it back up into the midsection here. That was a great question. All of these elements will affect how big your potential audience is. Before we jump into actually creating the ads though, I want to show you audiences really quick, and then we'll go through this pretty quickly. So audiences are how you you can track people. You can also just customize how you focus on people across different campaigns so that you're not having to set up the audience every time. I've got one in here that I used it's probably 10 years ago. I set this up. But you can create an audience and you can either create a custom audience or a lookalike audience. And so your custom audiences can come from your website. They can come from a customer list. So if you have names and email addresses of customers that you've serviced in the past, it can come from a customer list. It can also come from any of these sources down here, people who've interacted with videos, people who've been on your Facebook page or interacted with it in any form or fashion. there are those options. For most everyone, you're going to want to set up an audience based on your website. And so when you click on this and say, all right, I want to choose my website, it's then going to ask you, what's your data source? And so again, this is one of those technical parts that I'll send some instructions for to review later that will guide you through how to set up a pixel. A pixel is essentially just a little piece of code that you copy from Facebook and paste into your website. And it's going to track who comes to your website, what they do on your website, and it allows you to use all of that information when you're creating audiences. And so you can track people who just visited your website, who visited a particular page, how long they were visiting a particular page. You can do all that here. You give it a name, and then you can target people. So the idea is someone visits your website, you know that they're interested in you. For some reason, they have visited your page and they've been looking at your information. So they may be in that upper funnel stage. You can use Facebook ads to push them, nudge them through that funnel, and just stay top of mind for them. And so you can target them based on this data here. Now, if you have e-commerce set up, you can create a page based off of a catalog. So if you're using WooCommerce or Shopify, you can attach your catalog to Facebook Marketplace or Facebook Meta ads, and you can serve them ads that are particular to the items in your catalog. That there's a lot of other things to consider in there. We won't get into the details on it today, but if that's something that you can take advantage of and you want to do, I'd love to talk to you about it after. Oh, and then customer list. Again, if you have a CSV of oh, this is telling me I've got to take another step for this. If you've got a CSV of your emails and names of customers, you can add that up here. And then if their email address is the same email address that they use, or it's associated with their Facebook page or their Facebook account, you can advertise to them. And then the other way to do audiences is to create lookalike audiences. And so you can create lookalike audiences from a custom audience that you've created, or you can create audiences out of people who are that fit particular demographics. So let's say if you have an audience that you've created out of people who've come to your website and who've purchased something, or that customer list that you've uploaded. You upload that customer list. You can create a lookalike audience out of that customer list of people who may have never purchased from you. And so the idea there is you allow Facebook to kind of analyze these people's behaviors and their pages, and you say, all right, advertise to people who are similar to these people. So if you're advertising to business owners of a particular, and you've got customers that you've been able to convince to buy from you, you can take them and say, all right, advertise to other people who are similar to these. The idea there is that you're going to have an easier time selling to that lookalike audience. Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions? Cool. All right, we'll hop back over to campaigns really quick. Your audiences are a pretty powerful tool. All right, we've set up the campaign, we've set up the ad set, and now we can go in here and create a new ad. And so let's choose our web page. There we go. Again, give the ad a name that's intuitive. you're going to want to choose your Facebook page. It will automatically, if you've got your Facebook and your Instagram linked, it will automatically link all of these things. If you don't have one of those set up, no worries. You don't have to worry about it. Your ad setup. So you can either create an ad, you can use an existing post, or you can use their Creative Hub mockup. I would encourage you to use one of these too. If you're not a graphic designer or don't have access to graphic designers, Canva is a great tool that you can use to create some things. If you're creating an ad, you can either choose to manually upload it, or you can, if you've got a catalog connected to your account, you can choose Advantage Plus catalog ads. And then the format can either be a single image or a video, or it can be a carousel with multiple images. Or if you choose to use an existing post, you can that's not giving me all the options there. If you choose to use an existing post, it will give you the option to pick from a list of posts. You just got to pick your Facebook page, and it'll give you a list of options to pick from a post that you want to use.
Can I jump in for a second and ask a question?
Yeah.
Have you seen in your experience what is working better, a single image, a video, or a carousel, or does it matter based on the industry or business or type of ad?
I'd say it's probably varies from case by case. I would say it depends on what your ad is in part. And so if you've got an ad that is you're focusing on, getting a promotional code, or you're focusing on something about your local community, I would say a single image or a single video is going to be the best option there. If you're focusing on, hey, I've got this array of products, then a carousel ad might be better. I would say this, you have the option of checking or unchecking multi-advertiser ads. I would recommend unchecking that for the most part. I think most local businesses you don't want to necessarily show up right next to your competitor and stuff. Products tend to do a little better here. So I would recommend most of the time unchecking that. But in terms of the format, it's a kind of a case by case determination.
So after we place the ad, can we do, and maybe this is getting into the weeds, but can you do an A/B testing, or can you just like maybe place an ad for a week or two? And if that doesn't, because how do we know if it's the ad creative that is making the difference?
Yeah, it's a great question. So yes, you can do both of those things. You can limit and pause and enable ads on whatever schedule you want to. You can also do A/B testing as well. And so there was an option in the, I
It's
believe
way back in the ad set, isn't it? Somewhere. Like it's not creative.
Yeah. So if you wanted, that's the languages. You can run A/B tests on just about everything in here. But if you I think you have to do it before we set up the ad, and I think we've already gone too far. You can compare. So here it is. Sorry. Yeah. So you can set up a creative test here and test the different versions there. So yeah. So that is one option. I will say this. If you're unless you're dealing with a little slightly larger budget, it's going to take it a while before it reaches any determination. With if you're doing $5 a day or even $10 a day, you're going to typically get about $5 to $6 per 1,000 views, and so you're going to have to wait a few days for it to get enough views and interactions for it to determine which one is good or not, which one's better. If you have conversions attached to it, so if like you want to monitor conversions on your website or anything like that, that can take even longer to determine from there.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. Yep. And tracking, this is always a good element to enable. You can put your you can either use your website events or you can use URL parameters. I would highly recommend using these no matter what. It'll also give you an option of building a URL parameter. So what this does is this tells Google Analytics any information that you want to pass along, where the click came from, what ad campaign it came from, what creative you used in it. All of those things are added here. And then once it's all said and done and you've got your ad squared away and you're ready to go, you hit publish and it's going to go through some checks. And if you did everything right, it's going to give you a thumbs up and it's going to say, all right, we're going to be in learning mode. And so it's going to put your ad in learning mode until it can get enough traffic and enough results to determine how best to optimize it. That can take from, a couple hours to, a couple of days, just depending on what your budget is and how much interaction your post gets. So that's a lot of information. I know I'll be sending over some breakdowns of what we've talked about as well as how to set up Google Search Console, getting your metapixel in place, and send that over to you once we're done. Couple of other things to note. All right, so short run campaigns. If you've got something coming up this weekend and you want to get a campaign going, and you only have a few days to run it, if you don't put a decent sized budget behind it, if 15, 20, 30, $40 per day, you're not going to get a lot of traction off of it. So I would say set your expectations there. If you've got a short run campaign, don't expect a lot out of a little. Longer stretch type of things, you can put a lower daily budget on and just let it ride and measure the results over the long term. Establish conversion measurements wherever you can. So whether it's foot traffic, promo codes, people purchasing tickets on a site, whatever you can measure it. Keep an eye on your CPMs. That means your cost per thousand. Your cost per thousand impressions, your cost per acquisition if you're measuring conversions. Keep an eye on those things. And if you see them going up, then check on it and pause the campaign if you need to. Remember that things you choose on the campaign level can limit options on the ad and ad sale level. And at the end of the day, if you're able to track conversions, if you're able to track sales or something that's making you money, right? If you know that if you see 20% more foot traffic and that's going to lead to 20% more sales, then once you get your campaign working, then just pour more fuel on the fire, right? If it's making you money, if it's making you more money than it's costing you, then there's no reason just to increase that budget and get it going better. At some point, there's going to be a cap and there's going to be kind of a point of diminishing return, but just keep an eye on it. And but once it's working, there's no reason to not increase it. Questions? Any questions that you've saved up for the end here? What questions do you have?
Is it kind of in my mind and just in businesses I've seen in the past and experience? So to keep a low dollar, is it still a thing? It used to be a thing to have a low dollar top of funnel awareness campaign going on like that, maybe your $5 a day, and then put like, if you have an event or something come up, that's when you put your big money in for 2 to 3 weeks. or 4 weeks to, if it's before a big event. Is
Yeah,
that
I
still a
would.
thing to have those two different and have it targeting this two different areas, like, everyone up here, within reason, but then like you're retargeting customers down for your events? Is that still a thing?
Yes. So, yes, I would say by all means, like even if you don't have a promotion or a a product that you're pushing at the moment, having some sort of brand awareness campaign going at all times is important. And this goes back to how do we how has it been proven that brands grow? And one of the ways that brands grow is making sure you have more share of the advertising than you do of the market, right? So if you have 10% share of the advertising that's out there, or share of voice, as it's called, if you have 10% share of voice and you have 10% of the market, then you're going to maintain and you're going to sustain kind of where you're at. If you have 10% of the share of voice out there and currently you have 20% of the market, then you're going to gradually shrink. But let's say you have 20% of the share of voice and 10% of the market, then you're going to gradually increase to meet that. And so the if you can get what's called excess share of voice, that's one element that you need to help you grow your business. And you can do that by just having a good brand awareness campaign going at all times. But the
Makes sense.
follow-up part of that question, yes, whenever you have a special event, whether it's an actual event that you're inviting people to, or it's just an event in a sense of, you've got Christmas sale.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Black Friday's coming up. Like, what
Yeah.
do we do for that?
Yeah. Putting some dollars enough ahead of time to allow people to get on their radar and to plan is a good strategy. You wouldn't necessarily want to do it too far out. You kind of want to grab them right there and hook them. It's like fishing, right? You don't want to jerk the line too fast,
Yeah.
or it's going to miss them. And you also don't want them to eat the whole worm before you catch them. So kind of figuring out what's that ideal time from before the event starts to when they need to see it and make plans and prepare.
Right, that makes sense. Thanks.
Well, I appreciate everybody that has come and taken time to do this. I will say, if you are um, uh, interested in any sort of services that we offer, we do have a program called Climb Club that is geared towards businesses that are $2 million a year in revenue or under. It has it's essentially kind of a full year marketing plan, a website, and a lot of tools. So a lot of the things that we talked about today, we have them built into our customer portal for folks that are on the Climb Club. And we've priced that for smaller businesses. So if that's something that you're needing, if you're needing a new website, or you're needing a full marketing plan, I'd love to talk to you about that.